Welcome to another episode of Culture8 Podcast, brought to you by easini, your trusted partner in building thriving workplace cultures. Here we explore the intricate and dynamic world of organization cultures, uncovering insights and strategies to help leaders and teams foster environments where people and businesses can grow together. This episode is in collaboration with Katalyst Street. In this episode, we are talking with Melissa Hart, founder and CEO of eBodyguard. Welcome to the podcast, Melissa. It's an honor to host you on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Please tell us a little about eBodyguard.
Well, the technology itself keeps you safe wherever you are, and we do that very simply because we allow the person to actually download it from the Apple and Google Play Store. And it's there for you, your kiddos, your pets, and we keep them safe by having it for incident response and then for evidence after that emergency event. But we're also there for before, during, and after the critical event, all the way to the court system. And because we have government compliances, we're also keeping your data safe and most private for you.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you. That's a very innovative product. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Before we take a deep dive on your views and beliefs about the organization culture, I would like to ask you a question so that our audience can get to know you a little better. What was your very first job?
Believe it or not, Subway. When I was 14 years old, I worked there and learned all about customer service and, would go to the Hershey Park Arena in Pennsylvania and build Subway sandwiches, eat fresh, right?
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. In the background, I have my daughter listening in. She's 15 years old.
Okay.
And I'm always hopeful she'll be able to, she's looking to get a job as well in somewhere in the fast food industry or something, but trying to start her journey as well. So thank you. Appreciate that.
Sure.
What are the top 3 elements that define your organization culture? And how do these elements influence your company's success today?
I think that's a fabulous question because the World Bank has defined this age as a digital transformation age or a deep tech age. And because of it, I have now determined that our culture and most cultures that are going to thrive moving forward need 3 types of willingness in the culture. Okay. We need people that are problem solvers. Okay. We need people that are safe with power. And we need people that are psychologically safe. And that's not just the leaders, but the individuals. Okay. And let me give you an example of that.
Please.
So if you as the individual contributor, okay, is taking part of the organization and you are just doing your job and just showing up in this day and age, and you're not willing to be able to put some skin in the game, and you're not willing to say, hey, leader, the one that's taking all the risk, right?
Yeah.
Then I would say that you're probably not safe with power and not a good problem solver. And you're probably not a person that I'm willing to open up to as that leader and be able to have the capability to say, you got my 6 in the foxhole, right?
Right.
And I probably can't build things well with you or help you get up the mountain with you, right?
Yeah.
But that's not going to create a great cultural experience because then I can feel from that individual contributor that they're not all in.
Yep.
Makes sense? Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Now let's talk about safe with power. What do I mean by safe with power? So safe with power means it takes relationships, it takes information, and it takes knowledge and skill sets in order to be able to build organizations. If I go ahead and share that information with you and then you turn around and use power, then that means that you're not safe with it. People that need power, they're actually the ones that are safe with the power. right? No, the people that actually don't use the power are the ones that are safe with the power,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The only reason that you ever need to use the power, um, my humble opinion, use power very, 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 very like on like light, extreme basis. Hardly ever.
Right.
You should ever not ever need to use power. Use love for the most part.
I love it. Yes.
What do you think about all that I just shared?
Well, I've been writing notes and stuff, so I'll share with you. The very first thing that I think you mentioned was it resonated with me, and the fact that it said, like, when they join a company, they
Mhm.
have that potential to not just elevate their own purpose, it's to elevate the company's purpose and everyone around us, right? And
Mhm.
all the stakeholders that are involved.
Mhm.
Um, they have to be equal partners in the growth of the company. It's
Yeah.
just not one way. It's not the fact that leaders are all out to try and build a company where people can thrive. It's also the people, they have the responsibility to be active partners in that endeavor to move the company towards the success. Um, and the other aspect, when you talked about the relationship, it just reminded me of, again, Edgar Sheehan's work on organizational culture and the
Mhm.
fact that I'm a proponent and student of complexity theory. And I understand that in this day and age of complexity, there's no
Mhm.
way that we can move forward without collaboration, without
Mhm.
the kind of second level relationship that
Mhm.
Edgar talks about,
Mhm.
where you support me, I support you, you got my back, I got your back.
Right.
In
Right.
that sense. And then lastly, Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, right? And you have to use it sparingly to ensure that, yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah,
just,
you said that much more concisely than I did. I was like trying to find my words, but I was realizing like if people think that they're going to use power, then it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, you shouldn't need it, right?
yeah,
And you shouldn't. And at the end of the day, people don't want to know that they're being used.
yeah.
That's not loving.
No, not at all. It's a collaboration. We are
Right.
in this
We're
together.
in this together, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
and if people don't feel that way, then they already know that they're being used. I
Yeah,
don't want to be used.
no, not at all. None of us want to be used. We are all in here. I think when we thrive and we do the best
Mhm.
when we really feel that we are belong, where we are valued. I did
Mhm.
that. I mean, I in my previous company, that was the whole thing. That was the whole reason I was thriving, because when I was thriving, I felt because I belonged there. People
Yeah.
valued what I had to say. And,
Yes. Yes,
and
you felt like you had purpose, right?
yes, exactly, exactly. And that's the whole reason why easini comes into existence even today, is to create people-centric and innovative cultures.
That's great.
Cool. And one thing,
That's a great way to say it.
thank you,
It's a
thank you.
wonderful
Appreciate it.
mission. It's a wonderful
Yes,
mission.
thank you. And I'm really proud of it. I'm really hopeful to make that difference. I'm already making changes and difference to teams, but I'm hopeful to explore and move out.
That's
Um,
wonderful.
One thing which I did thought about was the fact in many movies and stuff, and I bring out movies because they are depiction of past history, is the fact that leadership is not given to people who chase or run after. It's to
Mhm.
people who want to stay away, but they are the right choice.
You know,
Of
it's so funny you say that. I actually never wanted to be a CEO. I never wanted it. In fact, I wanted to be writing musicals on Broadway.
oh
And
wow,
that's actually your other question.
yeah, you give
I love
it away.
musicals, right?
Wow.
The only reason that I'm doing this is because we never got it officially fully done at the company, and
Hmm,
we didn't serve the mission.
hmm.
And I knew that if I didn't do this, that we were never going to actually complete the mission. And so I picked it up because I was like, I got to do it.
Yeah,
But I don't want to be a CEO. I still don't like being a CEO. And I'm like, I'd rather give it to my cat.
My cat's watching me from his tower. So
It's hard to be a CEO. It's really
oh
hard
my
work.
God, it is. It is one of the toughest things. I never thought, even though I don't have a team today, I am hoping to expand in the future, but I can already see it. It comes with such great responsibility. The fact that it's not just the people who work with you, it's the families who are also dependent on how the company does.
And it's the partners, and it's
The
the
ecosystem of
world
stakeholders.
around you. Once you
Yes,
become CEO, there's implications you weren't even aware of.
absolutely. And it's all part of the organization culture. It's all tied to it.
Mhm.
How leaders are, what they bring to the table.
Mhm.
So cool, awesome. That was fantastic. Um, Speaking on organization culture, can you share a quick example of recent culture initiatives and its impacts that you've seen in your organization?
One of the external cultural impacts that we have launched is the Smart Safe Cities My Bodyguard program initiative. And this
Hmm,
was launched because I created the technology with my team
hmm,
to impact a cultural change that was influenced by technology. Now, this has launched in America, Bahamas, Brazil, about to launch in several other countries. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Not easy, not
yeah.
easy. It's a transformation change in the way that we think about supporting our government and
Hmm,
how government supports our individuals. The way that I said it before, where individuals get access
hmm,
to the criminal justice system, but government wants to allow that to happen. Okay, oftentimes because of the way that government is built, siloed, very
hmm,
siloed, we don't get to experience, the individual doesn't get to experience an outcome that they are looking to experience in that situation today. But because of the way that we built this technology, it
hmm.
allows the government to be able to give their citizenry the experience that the government always wanted to give them,
Oh, wow.
and for the individual to experience it firsthand. Oh,
Right.
by the way, without charging the government an arm and a leg, and for the individual to feel empowered. And so it took me many, many, many years of work. And I told you I left my company to support this mission.
Wow.
And I had to do so in a way that really supported the privacy of the individual and the compliances that was demanded from the government. Very rigid, by the way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was a cultural change in the way that, was being brought forward, because siloed and now is um, really a bridge that we're bridging together all of these, um, all the way before the 911 call, all the way into the court system. Helpful? Did I address your
Yeah,
question?
no, absolutely. Um, and I have a question that comes to my mind, and it's influenced by the fact that I read a lot this book. I read this book called Switch When Change is Hard, How to Make Change Happen When Change is Hard. You mentioned it was hard to change. What were the few things that you would add on? And this is beyond the script that we talked about, but
Yeah.
it's a great addition to the conversation. What was the three things, or maybe top one or two things that helped you make that change or bring about that change?
Yeah. So, oh no, I have maintenance
Oh no.
that I did not plan on above. Okay, maybe they're done. Um, so yeah, sorry about that,
No
audience.
worries.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. We ran into when you're dealing with a system
Hmm,
change, and I've done this now 4 times. Okay, you are always going to have the conversation with the people that are in the system where they say, "But this is how we do it."
hmm.
That's always going to happen.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So the way that we overcome that is you have to find people in the system that are willing to say, we agree.
Right. You're
Okay.
champions.
You're champions.
Right.
And you cannot give up. You absolutely cannot give up.
Right.
And we just legitimately did not give up. I just refused to give up,
Fantastic.
even though it was super hard. I'll never forget one of my friends. I called him one day. I was super upset, and I was really upset. And I was expecting him to encourage me and
Hmm.
say it's okay. But you know what he
Hmm.
said to me? He's former Army soldier. I did not plan on this.
No, we can edit those parts
Okay.
out. No problem. Yeah.
Okay. And he says to me, rip the band-aids off, soldier, and let it bleed out. And literally, I needed to hear that, because what
Yeah.
happened was I thought it through. And after I thought it through, I came up with Smart Safe Cities, my bodyguard program, and I came back stronger than ever.
Nice.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to think around them. I have to think around the problem, and I had to get bigger than the problem with my solution. And most times what happens with CEOs is we get stuck and then we quit.
Don't worry about it. We can edit that part out.
Okay. 3,200 startups last year closed their doors that were venture backed. Okay. That's because typically it's either that we run out of funding or we don't get bigger than the problem. You just got to solve for the next problem.
I really like that. Get bigger than the problem. And
You have to.
I absolutely agree. And when I started, and again, it's tough. It's hard to even start the initial aspects of things. I've always had that thought that I am not gonna quit. I am gonna make sure that this works, because I am definitely not going back to work for somebody else. That's not happening. But I have to make this big, because it has a good mission. It has a good purpose. It is a reason why it came into existence. I just have to pursue it and make it work.
I don't know when this is going to stop.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Again,
By the way, this is just real life, and this is how it goes. Things come up all the time, and you got to
yes,
solve the problem.
yes, you do.
So anyway, but what you said here is true. Like, I don't want to work for anyone else. I'm going to tell you straight up, as the CEO, I work for everybody.
Yes, true.
And I'm always reporting to people.
Yeah.
Last night, someone sent me an email, and I didn't respond within 2.5 hours, and they're like, where are you? What's going on? I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I don't have
I mean, you said it right.
I'm just letting you know. You think you own your life, but you don't.
No, you don't. And you said it, like you didn't want to be the CEO, but you have to work for everybody. Is just simply, it was the point was right there in my head. The fact that, shucks, I'm missing this point, but I guess I'll edit that part out.
This is great. So you don't ever plan for anything in life. This is exactly the point right here. You never know what's going to happen. You set out on a plan and a path, and you put a pro forma together or whatever, a budget, and you think it's going to be it, and you're going to be 300,000% wrong, and you better be ready for that. And you better have the guts for it.
Spot on. I remembered. And in fact, you know what? I'm actually not going to remove any of this conversation, the edit part of this part out, because I think it's just the way natural things are.
This is how a startup is. Just so you know.
Exactly.
If you can't have the stomach for it, get out of the arena.
Exactly. And I remembered the fact that when leaders become leaders, or they have to do this, they have to become servant leaders. That's what they are. They're serving other people achieve their results and
in a mix, like, we're going to get to another question at some point here, talking about the balance, right, of culture.
Yeah.
You know, I have tough conversations with people at times.
You got to.
But that is also serving them.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The respect of the discussion, when to have the discussion, sharing with them is kind of like, because if I don't serve them.
No, you're not serving that purpose. And I saw that post on on that NASA chief on LinkedIn, and you carried that conversation over, and he was bringing out the fact that you have to have tough conversations, and you are there to do this because it's first of all, it's going to lead to very big innovations because you're not just thinking about growing people with a culture is not about just being happy and making others feel happy. It is about doing the right things, doing the tough things, and obviously growing each other.
Oh my goodness. I mean, if it was Kool-Aid and sunshine and
Right?
ribbons and, like little bunnies running around everywhere all the time, that would be great, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes it is champagne moments because if it wasn't sometimes champagne moments, we wouldn't do this work.
No, absolutely.
Because we have to have the ability to know that we've got something to shoot for and goals to go for. Otherwise, we wouldn't do this, right?
100%.
However, we also need to know that we're anchored in. We know why we're doing the work. And we've got the leader who's saying, and I'm here with the biggest risk.
Yes.
And if you fall, I'm going to catch you.
Yeah.
And sometimes catching them means, oh, by the way, I'm under you and you fell on me.
Yeah.
And here's how hard it hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's how you can move forward as well.
Here's how we
We're
move
coaches.
forward.
We
Here's
are
how
coaches.
we move forward. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Very, very powerful stuff. Thank you for sharing. Um, I think you've talked maybe a little bit about it, but what is one major challenge that you faced regarding organization culture and how did you overcome it?
So what I often see is two ends of the spectrum. Okay. When you're trying to introduce culture or when you're trying to challenge your culture, I see people that go no,
Hmm.
and I see people that go yes.
Hmm.
But what you're looking for out of an outcome is meeting in the middle.
Hmm.
Instead of the polarized answer, yes or no, you want to have people that are willing to have the negotiation
Yeah.
and getting them to the table and getting them talking. And I see a problem with America right now that we see yes or no, or we
Hmm.
see this or that, or we see
Extremes.
the extremes. And that's not necessarily the majority. That's just what we're seeing in society from I don't know if where the sources are, and I'm not going to say where the sources are. But I
Hmm.
think what we need is, as leaders, the brave discussions again of getting us in the room, and we can do this inside our cultures and inside the organizations, and saying, guys, no, we're going to have the conversations, we're going
Hmm.
to vet this out, we're going to talk this through. That comes from a mission alignment first and foremost. You can't have KPIs without first having mission alignment.
Yeah.
Second, you got to make sure, are we aligned to the mission and are we aligned to our values? And then are we delivering our KPIs? I'm not going to deliver a KPI to somebody if they don't even have the same mission. And if they're
Yeah.
coming back to me with a different agenda, then I know we don't have mission alignment.
You've said so much things in that. Again, everything resonates with me so much more. Um, Culture Island. And you talked about the fact that we need to meet in the middle. It brings to mind the story between a American supervisor and an Asian subordinate. They both come from different culture, pragmatism and traditional culture. The fact that American supervisor his or her priority is to solve the problems. And the Asian one is to support the supervisor and save the supervisor. So both of them are not wrong, they're correct, but when they have to work together, they have to meet in the middle. A basic assumption between the two needs to be met, which will support both their basic assumptions, the ideologies that they come from, their own basic ingrained subconscious assumptions. They have to meet together at a common ground for sure.
Well, and if you're talking about complex theory, then the only way to get them to work together, as you already know, is to find out what unifies them, get them to
Yeah.
align to that, then
Yeah.
bring them into their KPI. But
Yes.
until you get them there, they're not going to have a discussion that's going to help them negotiate to meet to the middle.
They don't meet. Yeah.
Right. They don't. And so, some of this that we're really dealing with is that we agree to disagree, and we go, I just agree to disagree,
Yeah. Yeah.
which then we're just willing to walk away from the discussion.
Yeah.
And it's not getting us anywhere anymore.
Correct. Correct.
And this, my friend, is not going to help us move forward for an economical outcome.
No, not at all.
All right. So,
Awesome. Cool. Um, Talking about the future, the outcome that we are all looking for. What is one trend you see shaping the future of organization cultures?
so the buzzword these days I see is safety, you
Hmm.
know, and security and cyber and, but I've been in safety for 20 years. So
Hmm.
my ask is, well, how do you define that word and do people understand it? Right?
Hmm.
And women really know what safety is. We're wired for it. We're hardwired for it. And so it'll be interesting for me to see what that plays out to be,
Hmm.
in the defense industry
Hmm.
versus law enforcement, as law enforcement is redefined, right? And as we look to, really help each other have a better, more psychologically safe environment in our work.
Yes.
And as we see this emerging market come forward with technology, I think ethical technology needs to be emerged inside of the psychological safety transformation space, because it's one thing to have AI, but to combine that in the world of safety and the world of tech needs to have some sort of um, structure, right?
Hmm.
So that we can assure people that they have the peace of mind that their data is safe, that it's not going to have cyber breaches, and that
Right.
they're going to be able to have some sense that they know what's happening with their own privacy of their data. Okay,
Yeah.
that's where I think that, if you bring up the buzzwords, I think that we're going to see a lot happening in regards to like compliances of the data itself.
That's very interesting and something very different from all the other leaders that I've spoken about in terms of the future. And so that is good. Thank you.
There goes the cat.
Yes, he's always making his appearance. Um, what is one piece of advice you would give leaders about fostering a positive organizational culture?
Well, you know, if we're going to have the ability to lead that organization where you say, I don't want to be the person that's the individual contributor reporting up. And everyone wants to be a CEO except me. I don't want to be a CEO. Except clearly I'm still the CEO. Um, then I recommend that we do something where we have a balance of
Hmm.
meeting in the middle and also helping everyone understand that their individual contribution makes a major difference to the team outcome, and
Yes.
that we finish together as a seven-legged race and we cross that finish line together.
Interesting. Yeah.
And
Seven legged race.
if we don't, and you're with them, the leader, you're with them.
Yeah.
And if we don't cross that finish line together, none of us are going to cross,
No, absolutely. And I'm
including you, the
no,
CEO. You
exactly.
can't get there. You can't get there
Exactly.
without them.
That is 100% right. And I like the way you think about it. Right. Few things come to my mind when you talk about the individual contributor wanting to become more. In the very initial days when I was thinking about easini, and I started to write down what makes a good culture. And this is me coming with some ignorance only based on experience of various cultures and various companies and organizations. And one thing was the fact that when I know what my contribution is to the company, it makes an impact to me. It helps me grow. It helps me feel that I'm wanted as well. And I saw that again, it got reaffirmed in based on various articles that I read enough. And I thought, oh, okay, experience has taught me something which is valuable. Um, Reinventing organizations. This is self-managing teams. The exactly that you mentioned, the equal opportunity of each and every individual, because this is a flat hierarchy kind of a promotional, not promotional, but a very progressive thinking from
Mm-hmm.
moving away from the top-down controls to self-managing teams they are the ones who are responsible for growing companies. For example, I think there's I'll try to name it. It's Birdzorg. It's a nursing company, a non-profit nursing company
Mm-hmm.
in Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's another one which is, of course, the biggest example is Patagonia, that's a self-managing company. They don't have leadership situations. And if there are seniors, they are more like mentors rather than, they don't have the responsibility of owning the team or helping the team in management, more like helping them grow and helping them mentor.
Hmm.
So, and there's one more. I think it's a promotion. It's I forget what it, Morningstar. I think the one where it's a tomato
Oh, I know
process.
Morningstar. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, the tomato processing company.
Yeah.
That's also a self-managing company. So
Yeah.
the future is out there. We just have
I
to
think the
get it locked
challenge
in.
is being able to have again a brand new company and all these emerging companies that are occurring.
Mm,
There's there's this space, right, of
mm.
the thought leader and the innovator that knows and getting it out of their head, and these individual contributors that are trying to, you know, learn what's in the head and then having purpose, right?
Yeah.
And being able to do that in a very organized and structured way where
Mm,
a 30-year-old company has already done all that work,
right.
and balancing that out with a place that's secure and
Yeah.
structured takes a lot of trust
Yes.
and a lot of patience on the
Yes.
capability of the leader and
Yes.
also the individuals. It takes a lot of communication. And
Yes.
then there's got to be a lot of individual management and executive leaders in here that are willing to, I would say, battle it out in
Yeah.
here and go, it's okay. We're still here with you, even though it's hard. I'm
Yeah.
willing to do hard things. And you know what? I will tell you that people will say they're willing to do hard things until push comes to shove.
Yeah. That's where I picked up this leadership circle profile assessment
Mhm.
skill, because as a
Mhm.
practitioner, I saw the value in this assessment. The fact that it talks about the reactive tendencies. We fall back on this stuff because
Yeah.
that's what made us work as we grew up as kids
Yeah.
and teenagers and so on. So,
Yeah. So, what I will often do if something happens, I will say I need 24 hours.
mm,
I'll say, give me a day because I
mm,
have to think on it so that
mm,
I'm not reacting to that person and then possibly
yeah,
causing a breach or possibly causing um, a decision that I could be making that could further separate us.
yes.
And so then I can come to the conversation with love and support.
That's awesome. That's great. Cool. This has been a great conversation. Thank you. Um, let's go ahead to the rapid fire questions. What
Yeah.
is the one book that you recommend the most?
Strength to Strength by Arthur Brooks.
Ah, okay.
It is
Thank
a very wonderful way for us to be able to evolve as human beings because he talks about what we have in our brains where, you know, in our 20s and 30s, this is what we're going to be focused on. We have the capability to bring forward tech innovation. In
Hmm.
our 40s and 50s, we're supposed to be really kind of mentoring other people. And then in our 60s and 70s, that's when we could be doing more like writing books
Hmm.
or writing musicals.
I hope you get to it.
Really, no, for reals. But this is about like helping the stages of life occur and letting
Yeah, the
people know
stages
what the
of development.
brain
Yeah.
is built for at that time. He is great about helping people like kind of evolve and maybe extension like the the Maslow's hierarchy, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly. The
and understand
self-actualization.
like
Yeah.
right.
No, absolutely. Everything that you were saying, it came back, keep coming back. The Maslow's theory, the way that the leadership assessment has been programmed or designed based on the human stages of development, and being the integral part where we need to evolve to, from reactive to creative to integral.
Yeah, and self-actualization. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you. Um, you've already mentioned one thing that people would be surprised to learn about you, about your musical, but is there any other thing?
Well, um my favorite ice cream is mint chocolate chip,
Ooh,
and
okay.
I am currently in Brazil.
Uh, I don't understand the reference, but is that where it's very popular and it's
No,
available?
no, no. I just am currently in Brazil, like deploying eBodyguard. So I am currently in Brazil.
Very cool. Is the ice cream? Oh, okay. That's part. That's why we had those communication aspect of thinking about. Oh, are you in Brazil? Where are you today? And so on.
No, but I'll be back in America in January. So,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
no.
Awesome. Um, how can our listeners connect with you?
Here's my email, melissa.hart, HART, at eBodyguard.org.
Fantastic. Thank you. And also, obviously, on LinkedIn as well.
LinkedIn as well. Easy there. Yes.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it, folks. Great episode. Thank you, Melissa, for being our guest. It was an honor and a great conversation. I loved every aspect that you brought to the table. I'm sure my audience is going to be happy about listening in, tuning in. Thank you. Thank you so much. And it
Thank
was
you
an
for
absolute
having me.
pleasure.
It was great to be having this conversation with you today.
Thank you.